And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, the State of Pro Wrestling, and more. Thank you so much for being a part of what we do each and every time out. When you check out Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, the State of Pro Wrestling, everything that we do right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. You're asking, where's Melinda? Where is she? Well, she's here. She's going to be here in just a second. But here today to start off the show is a good man indeed. It is, of course, the patriarch of the Ross household and also the man behind Vampires and Vitae also as well. Of course, a great part of Wizards of Wine and Wild Beyond the Witchlight that Melinda does as well. It is Mr. Robbie Ross. And Robbie, I got to be honest with you, my friend. How you doing? Everything okay?
Oh, yeah, man. It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Okay. I've got a confession to make, my friend. Man to man, husband to husband. I've slid into your wife's DMs.
Yes. Have you now? It's a dangerous place
dear.
there is.
Yes. I've been very naughty. I've slid into your wife's DMs and let her know that Dungeons and Dragons is now collectibles at auction houses.
Woohoo! Very cool.
How about that? So yes, we're going to discuss that on today's show. Get your mind out of the gutter, everyone. We're not doing anything else. No. It's just I send her nerdy stuff all the time. Yes. Other men send her like proposals and stuff like that from all around the world, I'm assuming. I send her what's going on at Comic-Con and Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. When I take her phone, at least I can get good updates from you. You know what I mean? Like
fair enough. But you are coming on for an extended stay soon, I hope. Can we set a time, day in the future
when's the next
for Warhammer? Because people need a Warhammer update.
Yeah, you know what? I am free this whole week. I'll come up with some kind of fun topic for us to go through and see what we can hash out from there. It'd be a great pleasure to do with you.
Absolutely. We also got to hit Roger up sometime. I know he's having his shindig party. We got to go ahead and hit him up sometime so we could just do one last run together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one hurrah. Yeah, he's currently running a game on Saturdays. So if you want to jump in, a lot of the old crew, some of the boys from around the block. I am playing a paladin bard, so like a holy roller, like is coming down from the ideas of of Tiamat, whatever.
I want to do it. I want to actually get us all together one last time. That'd be awesome.
Sure.
We actually provided a lot of people a lot of enjoyment, had thousands of views during the pandemic when what we did, and that's how we all got together in the first place. Is through that. So yeah, I'd really love to get a chance to get together one last time as a group, but I know it'll be hard to do so. But we'll see what we can do.
I'm sure the gang would love to take one last spin, knock some dust off the characters. I mean, it's been quite a while since I got to do a little bit of a Scottish accent. So
exactly.
I'd be nothing but thrilled if it happened again.
I miss doing the stupidest things to do at the absolute wrong time. So
that was some of the highlights, though. You kidding me?
Absolutely.
You were a barrel of fun, and I do miss your aha.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Hero, not be hero, but I know that your lovely wife and I are going to be talking about a hero that has debuted this weekend. In fact, a couple heroes this weekend.
I mean, are we going after the Deadpool? Is that what we are?
We're going to be talking about Deadpool. No spoilers here yet. That will probably come on Monday's show, but definitely want to go ahead and update everyone on that. Plus, Dungeons and Dragons, how that is the latest collectible item, and I'll explain that a little bit more on the show. Plus, some other good things as well, including I want to hear your wife's thoughts on what she's looking forward to at Comic-Con.
Oh, so
great weekend for pop culture, my friend.
It is. It's a good time of the year to be nerdy.
Absolutely. Again, it is Robbie Ross. Please support his awesome work that he has done on Vampires Vitae. Anything coming up in the realm of V&V anytime soon?
You know what? Actually, we're probably as soon as I wrap up this season, that'd be season 3 of Vampires of Vitae. I am taking a break from the Bloodsuckers, and I will be going into a Warhammer-based tabletop RPG. So this will be it will play out if you're like a Star Trek fan. This will kind of play out like a Star Trek. It's a bunch of people on a ship touring around the grim darkness of the far future, and kind of a monster of the month kind of feel to it. So it should be fun. So it doesn't matter what nerd group you in. You don't need to be that into Warhammer to get along. You don't have to read 10,000 pages of lore. This will something you could just jump right in and get a little bit of exposure to right off the gate without having any previous knowledge.
I will go ahead and message Henry Cavill's agent.
Of course.
He would be very intrigued by your future with Warhammer.
I mean, I just need about 6 years of working out so I can finally play a Space Marine in his upcoming film and/or TV show. But I will do it for the Cavill. I will do it. You hear this, Cavill? I'm coming for you, brother.
There you go. Absolutely. Once again, it is Robbie Ross. Please support all the great work that he does with Vampires of Vitae and his future Warhammer project, which he'll talk about, hopefully, or Warhammer coming up in a future episode as well. Yep. We need another Warhammer 101. That's what we need, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me on. Should I throw the beautiful Melinda back on to you so you guys get
your
at least something
wife,
pretty to stare at?
Exactly. Your lovely wife who I send the DMs to.
Oh, yes, yeah. Absolutely. Always sneaking in those DMs.
Yes,
how dare you,
DMs.
wife?
Yes.
We shall have conversations later. No egg salad for you.
Like no egg salad is a punishment for me. Come on.
And thanks and thank again, Robbie, for sitting in that. Just let me play that out. I've been waiting to do that for a while now to time that out. By the way, but it is of course Melinda Barkhouse Ross. Melinda, of course, the mastermind behind everything as well. Vampires of Vitae, Wild Beyond Witchlight. And of course, Wizards and Wine. Melinda, great to have you back as always in the catbird seat. We're going to be talking some Deadpool and Wolverine. Going to be talking some Xbox Games Pass. Also going to be talking, I know, just Xbox. You always talk about. That's always in the news. PlayStation is just like quiet. So right now it is.
No news is good news.
I guess so. Absolutely. Yeah. Unless you want more titles to come out. So, but they may have something coming up, PlayStation in Concord. We'll see. Although, kind of big reactions one way or the other on that one. But again, it is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. Melinda, I want to go ahead and start off with Deadpool and Wolverine hitting theaters this week. In fact, in previews, it is one of the largest preview days here in U.S. ever, with close to $40 million in its first day or evening or whatever you want to say as far as the first showings. So it is absolutely killing it right now at the box office. They previewed it last night. Actually, a surprise. I wouldn't think it's so much of a surprise. They've been doing the press junket together, so you figured they would be coming over to Comic-Con. It was Ryan Reynolds and, of course, Hugh Jackman, I guess, previewing to the entire audience out there at Comic-Con in regards to Wolverine and Deadpool, and everybody is really high on it right now. Kevin Feige just got his Walk of on the Walk of Fame.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I saw that. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, no worries. So, Melinda, I want to hear your thoughts on. I talked to Josh about his thoughts about how this could help, hinder, or repair the MCU. Your thoughts on how big this could be and how big of a fix this could be for Marvel.
Well, I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest movies that Marvel has had in a couple of years. And I think that to say that it's going to fix everything that's wrong with the Marvel universe right now, I think is a little bit overreaching. I don't think that it's going to fix I don't think it's going to fix everything, really, just by the nature of Deadpool.
Of course.
Really. I mean, if you were like, Deadpool, we have got some problems with this storyboard, he wouldn't be like, I'm the guy to fix it for you. That's not where he's coming from, I don't think. But with any luck, it'll straighten a couple of things out. Maybe it'll give us a couple of answers to some questions that people have had. But I just feel like this movie is going to make gobs of money, and then they're going to demand a Deadpool and Wolverine 2. You know what I mean? Like I feel like this is going to become a bit of a thing, and they're going to refuse to do it. But 5 years from now, we'll get the second part or something like that. That's what I predict.
Well, he's going to have to do it sooner rather than later because Hugh Jackman and also Ryan Reynolds. Well, Ryan Reynolds, he's under a suit most of the time, but
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman will start to age out sooner rather than later because he's already over. He's almost or is he my age? He's right around my age. Anyways, I mean, how much longer can he play the role? He's also probably geared up to play at least one or two of the Avengers movies as well. They probably want to go ahead and stick him into there now that they brought him into the MCU. But when you look at it, how exciting is it to have some energy back again in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? How excited is it for people to go ahead and be happy that a Marvel movie is coming to theaters?
Oh, well, I mean, of course people are thrilled to be able to say that they're looking forward to the next Marvel movie. It's been a minute, I think, since there's been like a general acceptance of a film. And yeah, I mean, of course, though, it's going to be a Deadpool movie that brings everybody back to Marvel. Somehow that just feels appropriate. And I'm not sure how that is. Maybe it's because of all of the people who said no to Ryan Reynolds and making a Deadpool movie for so long. And, just seeing the continued success of the movies is a little gratifying, I think.
Absolutely. Especially the way that they killed off the Deadpool character the first time.
Yeah.
If you remember way back when, was it I think it was Wolverine or one of the Wolverine movies that they really tried to kill the Deadpool character off, and it was just a shame that they did that. But like you said, they brought him back to life. A lot of fourth wall breaking. Really has made a franchise out of it in its own right, and now it is bridged because of the sale of Fox, 20th Century Fox, to Disney. It has now bridged the gap between one part of the X-Men universe now into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It seems to be the favorite child of the 20th Century Fox, treasure trove of action heroes that are finally back under the Marvel wings. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I know you will hopefully get the chance to see it as well, along with Robbie. So I want to hear your thoughts when you do. But for me, I think this just brings the excitement back because you and I, when we talked about Marvel over the past, since Endgame, it's been touch and go, and a lot of it has been go in regards to some of the stuff that's been out there. Secret Invasion, Moon Knight, Echo, the Marvels. A lot of the stuff has not, the Eternals has not endeared itself to audiences in the way that Marvel had hoped. And to me, that's been disappointing. I know that Josh was asking both, would you or Melinda like to, write more stuff on the site? And I said, all right. I know Melinda's busy. She can if she wants to on stuff, but I'll tell you what, I'll write you the Marvel TV shows list, best of to worst of. How about that? All right, okay. But for me, after seeing this, I finally have the energy to do so. If you would have asked me to do it 3 months ago, I would have, I don't know. I just don't know if I could have gotten to it because it would have been such a big chore. But your thoughts again on how mismanaged this was, a rare slip up for Kevin Feige along the way, but this may go a long ways to right that ship once again.
Yeah, and I mean that is a lot of pressure to put on the movie, but I think that the movie is going to rise to the occasion, whether or not that expectation is truly attached to it or not. I just feel like it's the right movie at the right time for fans to say, hey, maybe I'm not totally done with the Marvel universe yet. Let's see what this Deadpool movie sets up, and I'm going to be entertained at least while I watch the movie, because the Deadpool movies are usually pretty good. There's at least some
Mhm.
jokes in it. Even if the movie's not great, the jokes are pretty stellar usually. So when you get into a situation where you're looking for a movie or a character to breathe life back into a franchise, oftentimes you're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. But I think it may work with Deadpool. For some reason, it just feels like the correct character to be able to do that. And maybe it's because Wolverine is involved as well, like you said earlier, kind of makes it that nice bridge, kind of brings the whole family back together. That could be the only answer.
Once again, it is Melinda Barkhouse Ross, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. We truly appreciate it. It's the PCC Multiverse. We're talking Deadpool and Wolverine. It is now available out in theaters, earning big numbers already. So I ask you, Melinda, Inside Out 2 has been a huge success. Earlier this week, it just passed, I think, Frozen 2, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, to become the biggest animated movie of all time, approaching $1.5 billion. Your thoughts? The work is out there now for Deadpool. I have no qualms about beating Dune Part 2.
Sure.
I'm sad about that because I like Dune Part 2. But the work is out there. Do you think it will have the legs to do or outdo Inside Out 2? I am not so sure. I think it hits $1 billion, but the fact is, superhero movies, they really are huge the first week or so. They sometimes have a fall from grace, like anywhere from 60 to 80% in the second week, and then you see the legs from there. I wonder, do you think this movie will surpass Inside Out 2 or fall just behind?
Ooh, I think it's going to be able to surpass it. I think that it's the right kind of summer movie, and I think that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I mean, we've followed this bizarre and funny and incredibly entertaining and endearing friendship between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman for a minute now, ever since he started bothering him about doing a Deadpool movie and like
Mhm.
camping on Hugh Jackman's lawn and all that kind of stuff. I feel like because we know that as an audience, and because we're outside of the characters very invested in the friendship between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, and their ability to work together. I think that that's at least a little bit an influence in people wanting to go see the movie, because the friendship between them is genuine, and you want to see like a buddy film, and I think that that's what this is going to end up being, and I'm here for it. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be great.
It is, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine. Please go ahead and support it if you can, because if you're interested in the survival and thriving once again of superhero films, at least fun ones per se, please go ahead and check out Deadpool and Wolverine. And on Monday, I will have my review, spoilers included, of
Ooh.
Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm going to go check it out on Saturday. At least that's what I was told. I was going to go ahead and check it out on Saturday. That's where my destiny, I guess, lies. But if that's the case, Josh and I will have our thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine. Hopefully, you've seen it by then. And we'll go ahead and share our thoughts on the Pop Culture Cosmos on Monday. And then, hopefully, whenever this young lady, will this get you out to the theaters? Will this movie
Gosh.
get you out to the theaters?
It's the first time that Robbie has come to me and said, "So we're gonna go see this one in theaters, right?" So I like you feel that it's just destiny for me at this point. I don't
Okay.
think that I have a say in it. I think it simply must be.
I like that. You don't have a say. I get to see him just dragging you with the
Yeah.
popcorn in hand. I I can't resist. I have to go. I have to
Yeah.
walk into the theaters and have a good time and laugh at a
Yeah.
fellow Canadian.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man.
terrible. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
rough. Please don't buy me the peanut M&Ms. Gosh, they're so delicious. I don't think
Exactly.
I
Yes.
should have them.
He's gonna have it. Okay, he's gonna lead you into the theater with the M and M's
Yeah.
and just go. You're
Yeah,
just gonna be sniffing it all along as you go into the theater. There you go. All right,
yeah,
absolutely. But it
amazing.
is Deadpool and Wolverine. If you're watching it this weekend, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You just put it in the comments below or popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we hit the break, I wanted to talk to you about something else going on in the world of video games. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was, I don't know if it's a shadow drop, it was
Ugh.
actually kind of hinted on for several days. It's like they couldn't, oh, we got something to show you, we got something to tell you. Xbox,
Oh God.
Xbox was just it's like, okay, it would have been just better if they just shadow dropped it and say, there you go. But
Mm.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 did hit Xbox Games Pass this week. It's the first Activision title. I'm hoping the first of many to come
Mm.
on the Xbox Games Pass, especially after you raised and jacked up the prices.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Again, I know you are the last holdout of Xbox. I get it. I understand that. But on a
Yeah.
service, well, you don't even need an Xbox console these days because Xbox is now advertising you can play Xbox without an Xbox. You just have a Fire Stick on hand and a controller. So there you go. But if that's the case, Xbox Games Pass would be the way to play. And if you do so, Activision titles, I think, have to be a big part of it going forward. A big, big part of it going forward.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be to justify that expenditure, it's gonna start making money for them somehow, and this might be a way to do it, especially if you don't need to have the console. That's interesting.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they started marketing that about 2 weeks ago, just before
Mm.
Prime Day. That if you utilize a Amazon Fire Stick, the updated one, the latest one,
Yeah.
you can download the Xbox app and you can get Games Pass up and use it, play it off the cloud. They actually have a bundle with an Xbox controller for a set price, whatnot.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can play Xbox without an Xbox now, and
I
that's
mean,
something that they wanted to push now for a long time, to play it off smart TVs, mobile devices, and this is just the start of that happening.
yeah, if the fact that I don't have to buy another console, I mean, maybe,
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 maybe, maybe,
maybe.
maybe indeed. And
I mean,
that's, I
maybe.
think, well, they're appealing to the younger generation who are not avid console buyers. I
Yeah,
think that all three are seeing some signs of fatigue on console buying.
yeah,
And even if with Nintendo, whatever they're coming out with as far as a Switch, and PlayStation, whatever they're coming out with PlayStation, I think they have their concerns about younger generations not buying consoles and not wanting consoles because they can play off the cloud or on their mobiles now games that are really looking good. So I think that's something that is concerned to them. So Xbox stepping in there saying, "Hey, okay, you don't need a console, just play Xbox." Okay, that makes it more appealing. We'll see exactly how it translates as far as the experience is concerned, because it's always up to your internet. Your internet always has the final say. So we'll go ahead and keep abreast of the experience and the feedback of that in the coming weeks and months right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But before we hit the break, my friend, a couple related video game things. SAG after. We thought we were done with striking,
right.
Melinda.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess that's not happening because
No.
the video game voice actors
Mm.
have decided to go on strike as part of that wing of SAG after. Your thoughts on how this could affect the industry if it lasts a long time? GTA 6, 2K, Rockstar say they're not affected by it yet. Other games probably are being affected by it. Your thoughts on how big of a problem this could be for the video game industry?
Well, it could be a very big problem. It depends on how long the strike lasts. But I'm also a little bit confused about why the video game voiceover folks are separate from the actors.
I think the residuals they hit differently. I don't. You have to take a look more into it, but yeah, it is. It is something that they have separate contracts,
Mm.
I guess, with the publishers as opposed to TV and movie deals
I
through the
suppose.
entertainment. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's
Mm.
where it comes down to. It's just that you're doing it with the developers and or publishers as far as separate deals are concerned, and
Yeah.
they want certain guarantees. I'm assuming AI, although AI, I don't know how much it is into this because likenesses, it's not really as much concerned. It's more the voice issues, maybe on where your voice goes and what characters your voice goes to in the future. Maybe that's what they're trying to prevent as well. But mainly it's about cold hard cash and about more coming to these voice game actors.
Well, sure. I mean, like everybody else, everybody is broke these days, and everybody needs more of something. So,
Mhm.
if you are in a position where you have an argument and you have a little bit of leverage, I say go after it, go after the money. I'm not even upset about it anymore. Please do get exactly what you deserve. Please do. Yes, do that.
So video games have recently gone up in price as everything
Hmm.
else has in
Yeah.
recent years. $10 to now $70 per. The publishers and distributors and developers could use whatever agreement finally comes into place between these two entities and say, you know what, this could lead to higher prices even more.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it will because that's what the companies are going to do because this raise isn't going to come out of their bottom line, it's going to come out of our pockets.
Mhm.
That's always what happens. So that will be a thing that does happen. Um, well, unfortunately or not, I don't know. I think that people should be able to get paid, and if you are a full-time voice actor, you should be able to at least pay your rent and get yourself some groceries. I'm not begrudging anybody, the ability to make a living off of their chosen field, but maybe the companies should start to absorb that cost though instead of passing it on to consumers. I'm really tired of being the scapegoat to help make sure that the companies continue to make money. It's exhausting, and I'm kind of over it.
I'm kind of over it too because I think there's going to be at some point, I like the fast food wars. The fast food
Yeah.
wars, the prices were going up and up and up, and consumers fought back and they stopped going, which caused a lot of these big name chains to go back to their value menus.
Yeah.
So, in order to do the same thing, the consumers may have to fight back with their wallets as well.
Yeah, and I think that that's what happens. I know that there was a grocery chain in Canada that people stopped going to. It was like a prime night for groceries, and the store was completely empty. And I'm not saying that they've lowered their prices, but the company certainly got a message. It was like that for a month. So we do know that that kind of quiet protest on our end is really the only way that we're going to get messages across as consumers. So, I like I said, I don't begrudge voice actors anything. Please get your money. I appreciate the work that they do. I appreciate the work that goes into it and the talent, and they should be paid exactly what they are worth, maybe even a little bit more. But it's the passing on to consumers that these companies do that to me feels like the real cop out.
What are your thoughts out there? What's going on with the video game industry with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 hitting Game Pass and a pending strike? Or actually, they've already, looks like they are going to go on strike with SAG-AFTRA and video game voice actors going on strike. Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here on the PC Multiverse. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross, the, can I say vixen of vampires and Vitae just because there's all these V's in it?
For the sake of alliteration, I'll allow it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure. Also, saw Wizards and Wine and Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Before we get to D&D, one of your favorite subjects, my friend, another favorite subject. It's that time of the year. It is Comic-Con, a place
Yeah.
where you and I should be doing this show from San Diego right now. You should be actually right now looking at your phone or trying to figure out where Robbie is right now in the middle of Comic-Con because he's off
Yeah.
having fun somewhere, getting some collectible or
Yeah.
some pops, or he's trying to get a autograph from Chris Hemsworth right now while we're talking. That's what you should be doing right now. It is, of course, Comic-Con going on right now. Your thoughts on just as far as Comic-Con, what do you think it means to you? And what do you think it means to pop culture?
You know what? If you had have asked me 2 years ago
Mhm.
what that exact question, I probably would have had a very different answer. But for some reason, and I'm not sure what the reason is, I'm I'm less interested in Comic-Con. Maybe
Really?
it's yeah, maybe it's just this year. I don't know what it is. I really can't explain that, but I don't I don't feel like the prestige of the event is still there, and I'm not sure why I feel like that. I don't know where that's coming from. It's not like I found information about it. You know what? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just haven't seen the information, so it feels like it's not as important because the information just hasn't been as front and center as it usually is in terms of who is there, what shows are going to be doing panels, and all that kind of stuff. I just haven't heard any of that kind of chatter, surprisingly.
Okay. The reason why I say that it's for me still a great time of the year because of how much that culture of pop
Yes.
culture is there. They embrace it. The people
Hmm.
that go in cosplays, but all the stars are there. They still you still feel the weight and importance of Comic-Con. Marvel's back there. DC's there. Star Trek is there. All these big, huge entities. Lord of the Rings is there. They just dropped within the past hour the season 2 video for the Rings of Power, which I've now put on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. So the importance of Comic Con is still very much there, my friend. I still feel that it weighs heavily upon the world of entertainment and how we
Mm,
consume it, and also collectibles. Dungeons and Dragons is there. As far as Warhammer
yeah.
is being represented, of course, Pops. They're huge there, especially the Comic Con exclusives. Which, if you go to stores, specialty stores, you see them behind glass because a lot of those Comic Con exclusives, whether they're action figures, plushies, pops, whatever, those Comic Con exclusives are really, really valuable in their own right as well, Melinda.
Yeah, I've got a friend who collects pops, and um, yeah, he I don't think that he's managed to get to Comic Con to update the collection, but I'm sure that it's something that's on his list of things to do in terms of where to get those kinds of collectibles and things like that. But
Those can run into the hundreds to the thousands of dollars as far as the availability of those. Because if you check it out, whether it's a pop, whether it's an action figure, something if it's made exclusively for San Diego Comic Con, it's really in vogue. It's really valuable. So look forward to seeing that out in the marketplace as far as whatever items that are there that are exclusive to Comic Con. But yes, the meetings, the fact that all these different shows and programs are running, meet and greets as far as, or just running their panels there. And it's just great to see the interaction that they have with the live audiences. And that's to me what it's all about with Comic Con. It's just the fact that you and I, as regular consumers, can go and interact in a place where all this fun entertainment products of some sort of the way we escape from our regular lives are there. And the fact is that it's just so still important even after all these years. I'm sorry that you've lost some interest in it,
mm,
but maybe I'm going to have to get you down there one of these days, you and Robbie. Maybe that'll change your mind.
I mean, it might. I don't know. And really, it could just be that I haven't been plugged into the right sources. Perhaps my social media feeds have turned a little bit away from what would normally have brought me Comic Con items and things like that. I don't know. Maybe that's all that it is. But even if I purposely go to some of the websites that even you and I follow, I just haven't. I feel like I haven't seen as much about it lately.
Interesting. For someone
Yeah.
that's a LARP
Yeah.
enthusiast,
Yeah.
that is a pretty good place for some cosplay as well. But again, it is Comic-Con. It is the biggest event of the year for pop culture. One of the entities that is there is Star Trek. Are you hoping for anything in particular from Star, especially because of the fact that we talked about a couple weeks ago in regards to a possible merger and a
Mm.
possible change in the Star Trek universe? Seems like Star Trek is still important because it's right there in the middle of Comic-Con.
Yeah, and I think that that's exactly the right place for it to be, because you and I are often talk about how we feel that some of the problems with Star Trek right now is attracting a younger audience, and Comic-Con would certainly be a place to begin to expose a younger audience to the world of Star Trek and the universe and things like that. So I think it's smart for them to be there. What do I hope comes from Star Trek out of Comic-Con? Some kind of some kind of clarity on the direction, maybe, of where they see the franchise going in the near future. Are they going to start to really lean on Strange New Worlds because we know that it deserves it? Are we going to get more information about the Michelle Yeoh project? I would love that to be a fact. Hopefully, we get some footage, maybe, of the new Academy show, Starfleet Academy. Those would just be some of the things that I would like to see. I don't know that we need to, and this is blowing my own mind that I'm having this thought like this, but I don't need the. I don't think that we need to continue to go back to the cast of the Next Generation. I think it's time for us to start focusing on the cast of Strange New Worlds, making them super accessible at all of these events and things like that. I think that that needs to be the addition of Star Trek that Star Trek begins to blare its trumpets about and really make some noise about. And I think that that show is going to go along really well with pairing, the events and um, inroads that you make with a younger audience at Comic Con with Strange New Worlds. And I think that that's, you need to hang your hat on that for a little while, and you need to kind of ride that pony for as long as you can. No disrespect to Sir Patrick Stewart or Jonathan Frakes or any of the others, because they're always going to be my favorites, but it might be time to start handing off the baton, so to speak.
Your mindset is similar to what I say about Star Wars. Now, Star Wars is going to be there, but they're actually looking more towards D23, which is
Right.
coming up in the not too distant future as well. But Star Wars is there at Comic Con as well in some form or fashion. But your thoughts on Star Trek are similar to mine on Star Wars, because I always tell Josh, and I've told anybody who will listen, that I think the best course for Star Wars eventually, after this Ahsoka Mandalorian deal is done, is to just move on from anything relating to the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Just move to a galaxy even farther away and just start from scratch and create a
Yes.
whole new universe from there, that people in their, early 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, even 15, 20, they can call their own, because they
Yes.
can't call Star Wars universe their own now, just like the Star Trek universe. They can't call the Star Trek universe their own universe because it's their the mom's, dad's, grandma's, grandpa's universe and not their own.
Right.
So it's time to, like you said, move into a different chapter that moves away from anything relating to what they've seen before in both of those franchises.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and it pains me because Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes. I mean, they got me through my teenage years. So saying that it's time for them to pass off the baton and start inviting Strange New Worlds cast and crew members and things like that along for the ride a little bit more often, I think just makes really good sense right now. I think that that cast is very capable. I trust the franchise in their hands. I don't think that they're going to be doing anything that they shouldn't be doing when it comes to anything related to panels and things like that. I don't think they're going to put a black mark on the Star Trek franchise. I just think that it is time.
It is time. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm just hoping that they will finally get the message on. It would be a bold step
It sure would.
to pardon the pun, Star Trek pun there. It is a bold step in order for either of those IPs to do just that. But I think at some point you're going to have to go ahead and find new space for another pun there in order to go ahead and do just that. But there are so many other things to do and see in Comic-Con, and we're previewing it right now. And some of the information has already come out. The Boys, which has been, despite the kind of unevenness of season 4, has been a huge success. 20% increase in its audience over season 3. It is one of the top 5 Amazon seasons of all time, doing a fantastic job. They just announced another prequel in the works because we already know season 5 of The Boys is going to be it. So we're going to be seeing a little bit more of The Boys and how that plays out as far as that's concerned. So they just announced that. All these announcements are going to start rolling around. And that's the part I really love about Comic-Con, Melinda, is that we get so much news in and around this period of time that all these different companies love to go ahead and make announcements as far as coming out. Like I said, the Rings of Power just released a season 2 trailer. I put that on the Facebook page for Pop Culture Cosmos. Of course, Marvel's there. Your thoughts as we finally come up on the last break here before we hit it and then hit the rest of the show. Your thoughts on what Marvel needs to do and Marvel needs to get across this weekend at Comic-Con.
Ooh, that's a big old question, isn't it? With multiple layers to the answer, I think. I think that Marvel needs something nuanced. I think that kind of maybe opposite to Star Trek, I think that it needs to celebrate the successes that the Marvel franchise has had in the past. They need to, acknowledge and trumpet perhaps some of the movies that haven't done as well. But then I think that they really need to start focusing on and hyping up even more so the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which I assume is the majority of what they're talking about during Comic-Con anyway. I don't know that we need to know the next 5-year plan in terms of movie releases from Marvel. I don't know that we need that information anymore. Just promise me that the next few movies are going to be good, and I'm going to believe you.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Because again, with Marvel, I think it's key that they come off the good vibes of Deadpool and Wolverine by adding on to that, by kind of structuring things out. Now, do I see them doing another, tree on release tree like they did the famous one, was it 2019, 2018 at Comic-Con in Hall H that got totally destroyed, like should have been on a whiteboard with a marker, like maybe this is not going here, maybe this is not actually coming out at all, maybe this is being changed, something like that. That's, I don't know if they should do that, but they at least should give you an idea of what's to come. I do hope that they show off Thunderbolts and at least a smidgen of Fantastic Four. I would love to see them at least show that to a crowd and try to get that over just a little bit. I know Deadpool and Wolverine was showed off there the other night, but I just want to see that there's a future going forward for Marvel that's clear, more succinct, and more focused than it has been in the past 5 years.
Yeah, and I think that they acknowledge that. I mean, clearly they see that they've made mistakes, and if you're gonna start over and you're gonna try to win back the what's the word I'm looking for, the good graces of fans, then I think that this movie is the right movie to start to rebuild that relationship with.
Once again, it is Melinda Barkhouse Ross along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this and truly appreciate it. It's the final segment of our show. We're still talking Comic-Con as we preview Comic-Con for this weekend. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Again, if you have any comments, please let us know on Comic-Con, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But my friend, there's one entity we have seemed to have forgotten about. We don't talk as much about it, but in the coming years, we will be talking more about it, and that is DC. With James Gunn heading up the ship now. You know this. I'm sure he will probably give people a taste of the Superman movie. That's my guess. At Comic-Con this weekend with the guy that's starting. He's in the Twisters movie, the new Superman. He's got this name that I'm going to have to remember and pronounce by the time he comes out as Superman. So I've got about a year to go ahead and do that. But DC, this is now the point where we talk about Marvel, how important Comic-Con is as a kickoff for the start of a better and more focused timeline going forward. For DC, it's all about a reset. Your thoughts on what DC has to do to get back into the public conversation once again?
Well, I mean,
I hit you with good ones.
Yeah, my goodness. They didn't know that you woke up today and chose violence, Gerald.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I think that DC, perhaps this is going to be the right restart. I feel like this is a reset button, and I think that it's unfortunate that those couple of films are coming out or have come out that we know really will have no bearing on the universe whatsoever moving forward. That was a tough pill to swallow, but I am going to continue to try to be as optimistic as I can about it because I want to see DC do good. I enjoy Batman and I enjoy Wonder Woman, and I think that they deserve a fair shake, and they deserve a good movie, and they deserve multiple good movies, and they deserve all of the same kind of hype that the Marvel characters have had. And my fingers are crossed. Please, 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 please let this reboot of the universe go well and make sense. That's really the low bar there. Just make it make sense.
Well, the problem is, though, it's going to be hard to make sense when you've got the Joker 2 coming out with trailers already, looking really good, but it's not relating to James Gunn universe.
No.
Then you've got the Penguin coming out later this year, HBO, along with the Dune Sisterhood series, which you were excited about. I saw that on your social media.
Yeah.
But the Penguin, which kind of looks good to me. I love it, Colin Farrell, because you do not think that's Colin Farrell in it
at all.
I know people talk about sometimes latex jobs and all that. This is a really good transformation when he transformed into the Penguin. You do not know. If you did not know ahead of time it was Colin Farrell, you would be surprised. But yeah, Colin Farrell and the Penguin, that's not relating to this James Gunn universe. So their most high profile things are not yet in James Gunn universe. So it looks like he's going to try and wipe off everything there. Peacemaker, which should be coming back for season 2, that is or is not part of his universe. I think it is because James Gunn, was part of it. He created it and whatnot. So I think he's going to try and incorporate that into his new universe going forward. So it's going to be very tricky how he gets the people to care about stuff that's not in his universe and then gets that transformed over, that enthusiasm, into things that are in his universe going forward.
Yeah, I think that it's just it's a line that we're going to cross into as an audience, and maybe it is expecting a lot of us to just accept it and be okay with it and to just roll with it. But that's what I'm going to attempt to do. It confounds me, some of the decisions that they make. I don't know why they decided to shelve the movies that they decided to shelve. I thought that was silly, or at least use those movies and incorporate them somehow into this new universe that you're going to build. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm choosing to be positive about the DC stuff. I really want it to do well. I don't know how they're going to make it all make sense, but I'm excited for some kind of cohesion across multiple movies from DC.
Last thing I want to touch on when it concerns Comic-Con, some announcements have been made out as far as on the Netflix side and other sides about video game adaptations. getting high and low so far in recent years. We had the highs of The Last of Us and Fallout. Huge numbers for Fallout, huge numbers for The Last of Us, critical acclaim for The Last of Us and Fallout as well, as far as Emmy nominations. We've talked about how well we're just like thanking that video game adaptations are finally getting the respect that they deserve. Then there's Halo, which unfortunately got the axe, as I talked about on Monday's show with Josh, that it
Yeah.
deserves
Mhm.
because it got canceled. But there are more video game adaptations on the way. Netflix talked about how it unfortunately is going to have to delay BioShock, but it's not shelving it, but there's talking about a retooling of it. There was also talk about the Dragon's Lair movie update. So they are leaning into video game adaptations themselves. There was another one, I forget, a smaller game that it was one of the trades I just saw earlier today. It's what
Right.
happens when you read sometimes at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's also being greenlit for an adaptation. So your thoughts on all these video game adaptations? Is there one? I know we go back to it. Is there one still out there that you think? Because you know me and that Mass Effect. This is still
I
sitting
do.
out there. It's a
Yeah.
hit in the making. Netflix loves to throw cash at something. I mean, they just wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on the Zack Snyder Rebel Moon stuff, part 1 and part 2. And now they've got to torture me again coming up here in a couple weeks. I have to sit through the director's cut for both these part 1 and 2 of Rebel Moons. You could have spent that money on a Mass Effect show.
It's true.
Your thoughts, my friend, on what video game adaptation does Hollywood really need to be working on for you?
Ooh, I don't know that they need to work on it, but I would love to see something set in Legends of Dragoon.
Okay.
I just it's really that one is probably like one of the early video games that I discovered and kind of played on my own, and that one is always going to have a bit of a soft spot for me. I introduced Robbie to it a couple of months ago and he was like, "Really? This is the game that you're so excited about?" But I think that it could potentially be interesting enough to tell a really good story. I think it probably makes a better animated than live action show, but I think that there is something to it. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Diablo. Could you imagine? Woo! That would be incredible.
Exactly. I
That
could
would be
see that
incredible.
happening before Mass Effect, because Mass Effect just does not get any lucky breaks. It's been out there for over a decade and it's been tossed around. Henry Cavill was reading supposedly something on it. I
Yeah.
remember the post. Yeah, it's out there, but they are talking a lot of video game adaptations at Comic-Con. So wanted to go ahead and bring that up. But if you have thoughts on anything Comic-Con, and we're going to go ahead, Josh and I, along with Deadpool and Marvel review. We're also going to go ahead and give you the latest news on what trended over the course of the weekend for Comic-Con. But if you have any thoughts on Comic-Con, if you're there at Comic-Con, please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. But before we head on out, my friend, Dungeons and Dragons, of course, which is there at Comic-Con. But I got an email the other day, and this is before I slid into your DMs, as I
Right. Yeah.
joked with Robbie earlier. But I I got an email from an auction house I always get for like other stuff like sports cards, collectibles, graded stuff, video games. How graded video games are now a thing that you could go to auction houses and buy and spend money on, from the hundreds to the thousands of dollars, depending on the particular item. Little did I know when I woke up the other day and I saw that Dungeons and Dragons books, modules, the small adventure books, or
Yeah.
like the
The
you
ones
know,
from the 70s.
yeah,
Yeah.
or the 80s,
Yeah.
or the big huge books, with the devilish guy that got all the
Hmm.
moms back in the day, like
Yes.
Stranger Things. They were talking about how, that's the devil's work, blah 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 blah. That's based off of that
Yes.
one player's handbook that you saw, if you remember correctly from the beginning of Dungeons
I
and
have
Dragons.
to agree because only the devil could put something in the hands of teenagers and force them to do simple arithmetic and
Yes.
have them be thankful for it.
Exactly. But you know which one I was talking about, right? One
Yeah.
of the original players' handbooks. It actually had the huge, yeah.
Yeah.
So now the books now these days were like, I think I got mad the other day. It was like they're $50 a piece. I think
At
that's it.
least, yeah.
Yeah. So these books, though, if you can find them in vintage condition,
Mhm.
some of them are actually even, I guess, encased and graded,
Yeah.
are now going to be worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Your thoughts on all these books you might have sitting somewhere might
Right.
actually be worth some money.
Yeah, it's wild to
That
think
is
that,
why
right?
that just blew me away.
Yeah. Yeah. If only the kids who were playing in those books, well, I guess they suppose they can see it
I was
now,
one
but
of them.
yeah, like I often wonder if Gygax, was alive, if he would, look at that and see what those very early editions of the game were worth now. That's wild. And, great for the game, I suppose, because it's going to get some of that older stuff out there. So if you don't want to support Wizards of the Coast, you don't have to. Just putting that out there. But I think that no, it's only good. I mean, anything that takes a passionate pastime from the geeks and the nerds of the world who have been enjoying it for a very long time and begin to expose it to a bit of a wider market, even a collectible market, because we know that stuff is serotonin to all of us, right?
Mhm.
It's only going to benefit, I think, the game. If anything, it's going to introduce perhaps newer players to some of the older stuff. So that's positive in my book.
But just like the video game market, there's going to be people who are just using it as investment purposes and who are
Yeah,
not really actually interested. I know that's ticked off a lot in the community of the video games, which there are people just speculators buying and selling
yeah,
things just because they think it's going to rise. Same thing will be here as well. But again, that just makes your stuff from back then just more valuable.
yeah, absolutely. So hopefully you were one of those people who never let anybody write in the margins of your books or
That's true.
have them full of post-it notes the way that I do, and you keep them in there so long that when you finally peel the post-it off, half the page goes to you. It's the worst.
And these are not just for the big books, the player or the dungeon master's handbook guide, everybody out there. They were for like the adventures,
Yeah.
the side adventures,
Mm.
like early versions of DLC
Yes,
for
pretty
if
much.
yeah. So
I have sort of an example. This one's from the
yeah,
90s.
yeah,
Uh, but like so there I mean, I think this is even thick compared to some of the ones
yeah,
that had come out, but like it's this kind of stuff
yeah,
that they're talking
exactly.
about. Yeah, so
The
things like
adventures
that.
that we played, in the adventures during the 2020s, early or this decade that we played as part of the destruction crew, those originated in small 10 to 15 page adventures with just
Mhm.
basically handbook guides that DM would go ahead and create the world from there.
Yeah.
Those are also becoming collector's items as well. So
And like
fascinating.
I know that we all love the new art and stuff like that that's in these books, but I mean like look at this old map. Look how cool
Mhm.
that is, man. That's great. That's
I'll
good
tell you
stuff.
what, classic indeed. But if you've got any stuff out there that you think in the world of D&D is valuable, let us know. Or go ahead, let the auction houses know, because you might be
Mm,
on some cash.
yes.
Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, you and your husband have killed it once again. Before I slide any more nerdy DMs to you this weekend, any last thoughts before we head on out?
Any last thoughts? Gosh, do I have last thoughts this week? Let me think about that for a quick second. Yeah, no, I guess just enjoy the news that comes out from Comic-Con over the next week or so. I'm sure there's going to be some nice announcements that we hear about. I'm sure there's going to be some juicy gossip that comes out too. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what everybody thinks about the new Deadpool movie. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. You are being forced by M&M's to go check it out.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. And some popcorn too. But please go ahead and check out Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend and let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great Deadpool and Wolverine day.